Welcome to the Existential Empath Podcast. My name is Tanya, and I am an intuitive empath. My intention is to share valuable tips, tools, and techniques that I have learned so you can tap into your own inner healer naturally and intuitively. Welcome back, everyone. Today I have a special guest. I have Dr. G. Rex Kruhly. Dr. G is the founder of Depth Healing Technology, a process that uses quantum physics to help remove cognitive dissonance from people's subconscious minds so they can live in alignment with their highest version of self. Dr. G has been studying and training in areas of health, quantum science, personal development, and consciousness for more than 50 years. Today, he works with people from all over the world, combining his vast background and utilizing his knowledge of the quantum field. Welcome, Dr. G. It's a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much. I'm very honored to be here myself. Thank you.
So you and we're going to talk about working with the quantum unified field, and we're going to talk about your depth healing technology. But first, I wanted to talk a little bit about another topic that will lead into where we're going today. And so many people around the world are in a state of cognitive dissonance. And so, Dr. G, can you first start us off with what is cognitive dissonance? What are the signs? And, why are we experiencing this as humans here on the planet?
Sure. Okay. So I'll give you some background information, because once you understand this information, if you let it sink in, there's no such thing as a human being who is not in this situation unless they've become fully enlightened. If a person is fully enlightened, that's different. The brain has been changed. But otherwise, here's the way this works. Once you're conceived, so modern science will say about the third trimester, but I completely disagree. So once you are conceived, subconscious mind will start to develop. Subconscious mind records information at a rate of 40 million bits of information per second, 24 hours a day. And once you are conceived, it doesn't stop the fundamental recording until you turn 7. At 7 years old, the frontal cortex, which I call the educated brain, activates. It does not activate until you're 7, and here's why. The subconscious mind is like, let's say, let's use an analogy. Let's say a person is a laptop. Okay, so you get your brand new laptop and you want to use the computer, but when you open it, take it out of the box. So that's like the box is mom, and the baby comes out of the box, and you want to do all kinds of things, and you can't do anything because you have to download the software. Once you download the software, then you can start to use the keys. And the keys, that's the educated brain. So it takes 6 full years, 24 hours a day at 40 million bits of information per second to make the fundamental software of a human being.
Wow.
Why are we designed that way? It's a survival mechanism, because we are complex and we live in a complex world. So if you have 2 kids, one grows up in a hut on the Amazon Delta, in an ultra primitive situation, and the other kid is born in Manhattan, New York. They live in completely different worlds that require completely different software in order to navigate that world. Now, here's where the cognitive dissonance occurs. The subconscious mind does not belong to you. It belongs to your mom, your dad, the house, the car, the dog, the television, everything. It belongs to everything except you, and it's brought in literally. Then at 7, the neurology is ready and this frontal cortex kicks in. and you start to be able to make actual thinking and decisions. But every single thought, every single activity of that cortex, which only operates at 40 bits of information per second, is only active a maximum of 5% of the day. Nowadays, it's mostly either 0 or 1%. And anything it does, it references through the software that does not belong to you. And what that does is it gives you your perception. So the kid in the Amazon and the kid in Manhattan, let's say they're both going to perceive the exact same thing, but they're going to see that or perceive it completely differently. The universe, for human purposes, you can talk about 100,000 different things, but it all boils down to perception and resonance. The perception gives you your frequency. The frequency gives you your world, your life, everything. It runs by the law of resonance. So cognitive dissonance means you are born, you go through school, and you're a real smart kid, and you get a couple of PhDs, and you decide to be a big shot entrepreneur, and you go to Tony Robbins, and you go to John Assaraf, and you do all the, and I know this because I've done it all. When I want you to understand.
I've been to Tony too.
But the entire depth healing, as I'm talking, I am the living representation of what I'm telling you. So when you get all that education and you go to do something and it always fails, you start, you got all the whys, you got all the education, and it always fails. That's because in the subconscious, there's a program somewhere that says, or an imprint, you can't do that. So you want to do it, but that only has a power of 1 to 1 million. The ratio is 1 to 1 million. So you will never succeed, period, until or unless you find and remove that cognitive dissonance. Now you can do brain reprogramming, but I want you to understand, because I'm a specialist of brain reprogramming. But brain reprogramming, folks, is just like building a beautiful big housing project on the top of a toxic land waste. Okay, you can build the beautiful houses and everything, and for about 25, 30 years it works. But the problem is still there. So the toxins come in, and about 25, 30 years later, they all got cancer and they all got everything. So cognitive dissonance. That's right. So you gotta. So what I do is with depth healing, I can surgically locate and completely eradicate cognitive dissonance. When I do that, your brain, the subconscious, will now endorse your idea, or at least it won't oppose it, and you will have success. Otherwise, no cigar. It's not going to work.
So it's like resetting those neural pathways. Is that what it's doing? Can you talk a little bit more about depth healing and how it works?
Yeah. So I use 2 types of frequencies to do my surgery. I can talk to the field, and I can talk. I work both with the field, like you, and I also work with the divine directly. So I have a personal bond with the divine, and when I am talking to them, I'm talking to them, and I channel them. So when I'm doing these things, please don't think that I have some kind of power.
And when you say surgery, you mean energetic surgery, right? I just want to clarify that for those out there.
Yeah, it's energetics, but mine is very powerful. I completely disintegrate, like Lyme's disease. I can disintegrate cancers. I can disintegrate anything that I can find. I can work with it. So I use destructive and constructive interference waves. And when I go let's say you have an imprint, let's say you were raped and sexually abused for years as a kid. I have thousands of patients like that. And that frequency from those experiences, those frequencies are embedded in their field. And then that's giving them their life as an older woman, and they're suffering. They have horrible relationships and all kinds of things. Because of resonance, they're attracting that. I'll go back through their field, find every single incident, especially the first three, the exact first three situations that imprinted that or downloaded that. And I disintegrate them with destructive interference waves. I have empowerments through Tibet for my destructive interference waves. Then I put in constructive interference waves. I'm empowered through India for that. The constructive interference wave. So when I remove, let's say I have to disassemble and deconstruct a great big complex. So they got raped, and then they're entangled with that is everything. So I have to disintegrate, but like peeling an onion. Mm-hmm. And I take it all the way till it's zero. When it's zero, it's gone, completely gone in real time. The brain completely reorganizes because all the brain is a antenna system. It's a broadcasting receiving system. So all that system is going to readjust based solely on the question, or specifically relative to what we are removing. And then when constructive interference waves meet each other, they build. So what I'm doing is I'm removing what is causing trouble for you, or disease, or poverty, or whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. I'll remove it, and then your system is guiding me the entire time. None of it comes from my education. So what happens is she's always smiling at me because she knows what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. No.
The constructive interference waves are building your system and raising your consciousness, and the perceptions are changing, so your frequency and vibe gets greater, greater, greater. That immediately changes your surround, your life, your results, everything. Okay? And then I endorse the entire thing at the end with Diksha. So I'm a significant Diksha blesser. I can bless up to 500 people at one time.
What is Diksha? Can you share that with us?
Yeah, Diksha was bestowed on humanity by the divine in 1987 for the first time. Now, normally, Diksha was always here, but you had to have been an apprentice under a master who could actually give Diksha for like 20, 30, 40 years. So like the top students of the Buddha, or Jesus' disciples, or someone like that, okay? And then the type of Diksha depends on, or the power of it would depend on who's giving the Diksha. So what Diksha does is, they've studied it with functional brain scans, and what it does, it lights up the frontal cortex like a Roman torch, and it starts with neuroplasticity to disassemble areas in the parietal lobes, the sides of your head, that are responsible for things like fear, anger, sadness, shame. They are disassembled and removed. So Diksha is continuously altering your brain. It's a transfer event of energy directly from the divine into your brain. It has nothing to do with me or any human being, strictly from the great compassionate light directly. And then the Diksha will continue to work on, one Diksha will continue to work on your brain for up to 6 months.
Wow.
So that's, when I do the Diksha, that's between you and your relationship to the divine, whatever that is. But that's who's going to be giving you the Diksha. It flows through me into your brain. And its top objective is to enlighten you. So it removes, like if you were to look at me now, I have almost no triggers and charges, but I lived in a state of continual rage, folks, for almost 30 years. Gave me breast cancer. My back snapped in half when I was 27. All of that just from anger. So all that's gone now. And it's gone by the same process that I do with depth healing, except that my process now is significantly higher. So I'm a combination of cutting edge science and mysticism.
Yes, I love that. I love that. It's like you're using both hemispheres of the brain, that masculine energy, the feminine, that Lemurian, that Atlantean energy. It's like all of that combined. I love that. I feel like that's the healing of the future, or the healing of the now.
That's the whole idea. That's what I want to do for people.
Oh, that's amazing. And so, Dr. G, you and I both work very successfully in the quantum field to heal, reprogram, and connect to the divine. And so I want you to just kind of explain a little bit about what the quantum unified field is for those out there who may not be familiar with that concept, and how we can really connect with that, each and every one of us.
Yeah, the irony of it is, folks, we can't ever be outside of the unified quantum field.
Exactly.
That's the only
We're
reason
entangled in it.
Yeah, it's constantly creating and recreating us all the time. So a nice way to try to think of the quantum field, there's a couple of things, because my specialty is morphic field physics.
Oh.
So what that means is, if you know what a torus is, toroidal field, it's and if you don't know, just go to the best places to see the research and the diagrams and that, because they have the instruments now to measure all these things, is the Heart Math Institute. Just go Heart Math Institute, and then the best, in my opinion, the top of all top physicists is Nassim Haramein and the Resonance Academy. Okay. And then if you want to understand what I do or what she's doing from biologic standpoint, the best, in my opinion, top in the world is Bruce Lipton.
Yes.
So anyway, everything is morphic fields first and foremost. Okay. So what's a morphic field? Easiest way for you to understand that is the Google Cloud. So when you are typing on your computer, you're accessing a feed up from the computer to the cloud, and from the cloud down. It's a feed forward, feed backward system.
That's a great analogy. Great analogy. Yeah.
That cloud, well, what is it? It's just a big electromagnetic field that can hold or contain photons of light together, and the photons of light have the information in it. Now, so take that kind of an idea and think of something like a medium, like an ocean. So let's say the ocean is the unified field. So when you go into the water, everything, the top of the water all the way to the bottom of the water, it's all water. Now the difference is the morphic field part of that is, from the top of the water to the bottom, if it goes down a couple of miles, it has strata, because the depth makes different pressures. And at each different pressure, there's a different kind of life, different kind of information, different kind of world. And that's the way morphic fields are.
That's neat. It reminds me of when I used to scuba dive, because you'd go 40 feet, you could see so much beauty, but you go 90 feet and it's kind of murky and you can't see anything, right? That's kind of the analogy that was coming through for me.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what I mean. So you do that, eh? That's cool.
Yes, I'm very analogy. I think it's my Arcturian aspects. It comes in and I have all these analogies running through my head.
I would love to scuba dive, but man, I would be too, I'm a marshal specialist, but I have to be on land.
Yeah,
But
I
if we
hear
go
you.
underwater, but it must be amazing to do that. But that's the way the universe works. And then, of course, you understand resonance. Everything works off of resonance.
Let's talk about that, Dr. G. What you've talked about the law of resonance. Let's go into a little bit detail about that. I understand it, but I'd like to have you share that for those out there who might be saying, what does resonance mean?
Yeah, resonance runs everything. Okay? So like well, no, that's too advanced. Let's use another kind of an analogy. So I want you to imagine a gigantic warehouse, and it's 100 stories high. It's about 18 miles long, and it's filled with hundreds and thousands of rooms. Everywhere, rooms. Some rooms are real big, some rooms are real small. And I want you to think of that, and it's got one door, no windows. And I want you to think of the warehouse as the universe. Or if you want to scale down, think of it as Mother Earth. Okay? And then inside the warehouse, on the floor, the sides of the walls, and all across the ceiling are hundreds and millions of different kinds of tuning forks. Some of the tuning forks are huge, and some of them are itty bitty bitty bitty. And but all of the tuning forks, which are in this warehouse, which is Mother Earth, tuning forks are people, places, things, opportunities, money, your life, your death, everything. It's all there. That's represented by the tuning forks. So here you come, you walk up to the front door and you open up the door, and you're carrying your primary tuning fork, okay? It's your primary frequency. And you walk in, you close the door, and you hit your tuning fork. At that moment, throughout that entire structure, through the walls everywhere, large or small, any tuning fork with the same frequency will start to hum. And none of the other tuning forks will do anything. Mm-hmm. And so, but because of the resonance, that tuning fork way on the other side of the earth, it knows you. And it's trying to get to you. And you're trying to get to it. And you, because of the resonance, they can find each other. There's a very good possibility that they can walk through that big structure and find each other.
That quantum entanglement, yeah.
That's right. So that is what resonance means. So when to dummy that down to your own life, because all you have to do is look at your surround carefully, and your surround, which means your home, your friends, your clothes, your health, everything is a resonance frequency with you. Okay? If you go down the road and some guy jumps out of the thing and beats the hell out of you, that's a resonance.
You tuned into a tuning fork, yeah.
if you have the frequency of Mother Teresa, he will not jump out of the window, and he won't even see her. Okay, because that's like the strata. This strata, let's say this strata are people that live off of McDonald's hamburgers. Okay, and up here are vegans. The vegans and these people, they live in very different strata. Mm-hmm. They don't. So that's what I mean by resonant. And what is giving you your frequency is the subconscious data. That's what gives it.
So
not your education.
Yeah. And so when you're working with people, you're actually finding their core frequency and then kind of fine tuning that. Is that what you're doing?
Whatever their issue is, we have to we go in, find it, and then I find, when I clear them, I clear everything that's entangled. So the more information I have, let's say they have a SEMO. So SEMO means sympathetic emotional memory override. You can think of it as post-traumatic stress syndrome. So let's say uh, I had a lady that had been brutally raped and knifed in the jungles of New Guinea, and her boyfriend was beaten to pulp by a gang, and they were all alone, and she survived. They lived. So then many years later, she met me, and she started to tell me that story. She thought it was long gone, but of course nothing's gone. So I just went in, and what I do is I have her just think of the issue. By the way, I'm in Thailand. There, you can be on Pluto. It makes no difference to me because I'm a distance healer,
Yeah, and
folks.
it's remote, right? Yeah. Working with
So
the quantum field. Yeah.
I just have her eyes closed, and I give her, I tell her what to ask for the questions to open her files. I locate that event and I disintegrate it, and it's gone. I can remove post-traumatic stress syndrome in a matter of minutes. No need for therapy or medication or any of that nonsense. You just shut it. All it is, it's a movie that's still playing. It has not been processed, and so it's just there. And then any environmental trigger can turn the movie on. And if the movie is turned on, the thalamus, hypothalamus will dump all the neuropeptides that encode the memory and everything right in, and they will relive that. So shutting it off is very important because all those kinds of things are in our field, and they require energy to maintain.
Mhm.
So as I do the surgeries, they gain energy because their brain and their field is no longer supporting that.
You know what it
Is that
reminds me of, Dr. G? On an iPhone, when you don't close the apps in the background, it'll burn your battery really fast. Like on, on any type of smartphone, you've got to close those background apps that are going. And that's what it reminds me of. It's like you have,
yeah,
you're looking at one app, but you have all these other apps going on in the background that are actually siphoning and draining you, and you don't even really
yeah.
recognize that that's happening.
Yeah, and then on top of that, human brain can only operate a maximum of 7 files. When you get to 7 open files, you can become so brain dead that you cannot decide whether you should lift up a pencil or drop a pencil. You can see that in courts of law with real smart lawyers. What a lawyer will do to make someone look like a buffoon, they'll ask a question. So the guy on the jury stand starts to answer the question. Then as he's answering the question, the lawyer will interrupt him and ask another question. So he never got to finish his thought. And then as soon as he starts the second question, he interrupts him and does it. And once he gets to 7 questions, the man looks like a complete vegetable
Yeah.
because he just clogs up the brain. That's why you should never multitask. Multitasking is wrong. Like in the Zen, I'm a Zen trained professional swordsman. We say one by one policy. You the best way you can, as much as you can, is focus on one thing at a time. I have a question. Can you see me because the light is changing from the
Yeah.
morning?
Yeah,
You
no,
can
I
see
can see
me?
you have this beautiful golden kind of glowy hue around you.
Oh yeah, that's my divine.
Yeah, and I used to be a multitasker. Now I do because energy flows where our attention goes, right? Where our focus goes. And so I have learned to shut off all of those different valves going on and really funnel and focus my energy on, what I want to create in my life. And so, but that was a learned behavior that, I saw my mom running around doing 27 things at once. And so as a child, I naturally thought that was how I was supposed to function. And
Yeah,
it
it
burned me
looks
out really
fantastic.
fast. Hmm.
It looks fantastic when you see someone doing all kind. Um, one of my favorite kinds of people to watch actually is a really top level bartender in a real busy. They are unbelievable, but it is not the proper way to live. It's really not.
It's a lot of that is running on autopilot too. You're just kind of you're moving and you don't really know what you're doing. And many of us in the world, including myself, many years ago was doing that as well. I just was constantly, I'd end up from one place to the other and not even really remember the journey on how I got there.
That's right. That's right. That's the subconscious is running it all.
Yeah. And so, Dr. G, I'm a huge proponent of using sound frequencies. This is something that I love to do. And I actually play a solfeggio frequency in the background of all of my shows. And so this particular frequency that I tuned in for us was 852 hertz. And so I also use a lot of binaurals, hemisync, and Rife frequencies. And so I'd like for you just to talk a little bit about how we can use frequencies, whether that be sound or all the variety of frequencies that we can tune into, so we can enhance our health, our wealth, our relationships, or whatever it is in our life that we are really trying to improve on and expand our consciousness.
But by the way, before the show, when you and I were talking, the kind of technology I bought was scalar.
Yes, and that's my next question. That's so cool. That's funny. We tuned into that.
Oh yeah. Okay, so that's the one I was trying to remember for you. So if you've ever heard of Charlie Munger is considered one of the most brilliant businessmen alive in the world. He's in his 90s now. He's the partner to Warren Buffett, and he's a self-made billionaire. Okay, and I like to listen to Charlie Munger, and they say that he can literally analyze an entire business in like 10 minutes.
Wow.
The whole business. And one of his keys to his wisdom is inversion. So to answer her question, I'm going to tell you what not to do. Never listen to rap or anything related to rap. We call it crap. Okay. All you have to do to understand how sound can influence human behavior is just watch a bunch of people listening to that garbage. And then if you want to see like Bruce Lipton or anybody that's a microbiologist, they they take that kind of junk noise and they measure human cells. Or
Like
they
Dr.
look like I was just going to say Moto, and what you're looking at, it looks just like cancer. It's completely incoherent. It just destroys everything. I used to be a concert cellist, amateur, but I was a concert cellist before I became a martial artist. But just always try to find beautiful, natural, like in where I am here, you can hear all the birds, right? I'm in Thailand. Beautiful orchestras, real beautiful voices. There's a big difference between an educated professional singer and some idiot that's screaming into a mic. In the old days, when my father was a young man, those kind of people couldn't get a job as a janitor in a studio, let alone be called a star. So sound is frequency. Like even my frequency, all my frequencies are a proprietary list of words which are channeled through the divine and given to me. There's words and sound. There's nothing so important. So you look for, and there's a lot of research. You can, like someone like my beautiful host here, they're specialists on what type of sound or what type of music creates the beautiful harmony, makes all of your body come alive, activates chakras, expands consciousness. Look for that and fill your home or your life with that. And if you walk somewhere like me, I walk into a restaurant or something and they're playing that garbage, I have them shut it off.
Yeah.
Or I just have them change. You have another thing you got to understand, folks. We are everything is brainwashing with enormous sophistication. So in the music industry, many of my clients are in the entertainment, music industry, and the movies. Everything they do, they use a flicker rate.
Uh-huh.
They're programming your subconscious with garbage. Why do you think the moral fabric of our society is in the garbage can? It's disintegrating.
Mhm.
And that's because they can access you through the videos, the music, everything.
It's all
So
subconscious. Mm-hmm.
it's utterly. So what you have to do nowadays, because they are so sophisticated, you have to be an educated, sophisticated person who understands the arena you're living in. If you don't, you will be living according to somebody else's agenda, not your own. And irregardless, I don't care if you have 16 PhD, it doesn't mean nothing.
It's very true. So, back in I believe the early 90s is when they switched. When you go back to the 80s, the music seemed upbeat, it seemed fun, but then something shifted around the 90s. That's when they shifted from 432 hertz to 440 hertz. Now, 432 hertz is the frequency of the divine, and each chakra has a certain frequency that you can tune into. And so if you go out and do your own research on the transition from 432 hertz to 440 hertz, and you will begin to notice that majority of the music we hear today has a resonant tune of 440 hertz. Now, not saying that that's a bad frequency. It's just what it's doing is it's not in harmony with the human body. It's not in harmony with the earth. It's not in harmony with the divine. And so, like you said, this has been a construct that has been happening for a very long time. So they are extremely knowledgeable in this, but we have to take our power back, and we can do that through sound and frequency. I actually play the Schumann resonance often, which is just the earth's heartbeat, the earth's tone. And I noticed that just similar to Dr. Emoto's work with water molecules, my plants will thrive when I play Schumann resonance. And they did many studies on people living in bunkers, and over the course of time, not having sunlight, not having interaction, they started to get sick. They started to get cancer. They started to feel depressed. Well, then they went in and started pumping the Schumann resonance, that actual frequency, into the bunkers, and people were thriving. They were actually feeling much better. They were in harmony with the earth, and our brainwave states actually are in perfect harmony with the Schumann resonance, with the earth. And so, yeah, when we tune into that, and sound plays a huge role in this.
Oh, yes. Well, now they have the technology. You can listen to the plants.
Yes, I love that. I've seen that.
The plant, is actually an entire orchestra, and it's below your ability to hear. And then the plants in your home, in France, they found that the plants in your home, when they see you and you're going to bring them water, they sing to you. They're so happy. Yeah. I can now my consciousness is enough that I can intuit when they want me to give them water, or when they want something. I can feel it. But yeah, everything is all sound, folks. It's all sound.
It really
It's
is.
all you're looking at is energy, and that's all you are. What you are, in Indian we say Sat Chit Ananda. So you're not your body. Body is an avatar, and you are Sat Chit Ananda's existence, consciousness, and bliss. So you're just like the air. That's what you actually are. And then when you die, and you'll be able to look at your body, and you're still there. In fact, now Bruce Lipton is the microbiologist who discovered the self receptors on the cell membrane. So you're made out of 50 trillion cells approximately, and there are self receptors, little antennas on your cells with that only pick up your signal that gives you. On my cells, they have my self receptor because you are not in your body. Now they have the instrument, I think it's called a magnetoencephalogram, and they proved that thinking, this is very recent, thinking is not occurring in the brain, nor is mind. There's no such thing as a person with a mind.
Mm-hmm.
There is one mind.
Mm-hmm.
A mind is a strata, and it's very, very, very ancient. And then the thoughts and everything are flowing. They flow in here at this point, and they flow out at the back, right where your neck meets the back of your head. And that's why in meditation, all meditation methods across all cultures will say, when you sit and relax, just watch thoughts come and go. That's because that's what they're doing. None of them are yours at all. When Einstein discovered whatever he discovered, all it is he just picks it up as a download from the field.
Yes.
So it's all in the field. He doesn't discover it, downloads it. That's how this works. That's why I love that movie. I don't know the second one, but the first movie, Avatar, is one of my most favorite, because that's basically a model of what's actually going on. And if you realize that a computer analogy for us is absolutely accurate, so we're programmable and we run on automatic, and that's why for higher consciousness is what it means is there's less and less automated mechanical life, and you're actually experiencing and living life, because what you are is life. Life is a thing. It's like an energetic thing, right? And we have this avatar body in order for the feed forward, feed backward system, so that the real self that's operating you, which is with the divine, we can be here, and we can, like Bruce Lipton will say, we can taste ice cream, and we can go hiking in her beautiful mountain. You can experience this 3D world, and then you're gathering information, and this is how the divine, how it's operating. The only biggest problem with a human being is you think your thoughts are yours.
Yeah.
I will do the same, and we identify with it. And because you identify with it, you suffer. We suffer.
Absolutely. It reminds me of, when you have a really great idea, but you don't take inspired action on it. And then a month down the road, you meet someone who has your same idea, and you're like, you took my idea. But the reality is it was in the field. It was in the quantum field. And you, at that moment, like you talked about the tuning forks, you were in resonance with that idea, but yet you didn't take the inspired action to act on the idea. It just kind of passed you on by. And then someone else had a similar tuning fork and they resonated with that idea. And then maybe they took the initial step to act, on it. Yeah. And so you see that happen often with people.
Well, yeah, that's how you make a morphic field. Like when you get, let's look at a negative morphic field, Hitler. Mm-hmm. All you got to do is get a couple of people, and then it grows, folks. And the growth, the collective consciousness, that is a morphic field. And then that field manipulates and controls human behavior, because a morphic field is like super consciousness. Okay, it's an emergent property that's based on numbers. Everything is a numbers game. That's why when they made this fake pandemic garbage, they did brain brainwashing for many generations.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is preset. Then all they do is have some Chinaman say that there's a big problem, and instantaneous programs initiate and total compliance worldwide.
Oh, big time. Through
And
every
that's
avenue they
brainwashing.
could. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which is
But it's
fascinating in itself. And so it's funny you brought up scalar technology, because a month or two ago, I had a guest on who had a download, and he created a scalar technology where he's actually going in and doing cellular detox, very similar to what you're doing. And so I wanted to kind of talk to you about that. What is what you're doing? Is it similar to scalar? Do they work together? Is it, what is the difference with what you're doing? And then I want to kind of talk a little bit about cellular detox and how that works.
okay. Yeah, no, I have a friend of mine that was my client for a while, and she became a very top expert using scalar frequencies.
Mm-hmm.
She has an entire channel protocol, it's really cool. So I bought the technology, but the thing is, scalar, all that stuff is powerful. It's like nothing to fool around with.
Mm-hmm.
And all those things really work. But the thing is, with my work, I can do so many more things in so many ways. Like cognitive dissonance is only one little tiny thing for me of what I do. That's why I call it depth healing.
Uh-huh.
So I got the frequency, and I never did. I'm not a tech guy. I handle things through the divine, and I've been empowered and gone through hundreds of thousands of hours of special conditioning so that I can do what I do. So I just do it that way. Now, when I say cellular detox, the way I understood the scalar frequency, my basic understanding is, if you're in the scalar field, so you sit in between these, one's a big generator, the other's a receiver, and it concentrates the field in between. Okay, this is the one way. So you would sit in there, and the purity and power of the frequency that you're sitting in is like cleaning you, purifying you, and stuff just leaves. Or heals. That's one idea. And then what she was teaching me, you can put an intention on I think it's the sender, and you could and take a photograph of the
Yes.
person you want to receive,
Mm-hmm.
and they might be in another part of the world. And so I did it one time, and the lady that I did it with, I thought I was going to help her, and I had not told her I'm going to put her on that thing and leave it there.
Uh-huh.
I didn't tell her because I didn't know I had to. I thought I was just going to help her. She had a complete emotional mental breakdown, and a massive emergency that I had to undo.
Uh-huh.
And I never used it again.
So it's
See,
powerful.
when I work, uh, when I work, everything is 100% safe.
Uh-huh.
I have full divine support, and there's nothing like that. And I can, there's just nothing like that. And when I saw what she went through, it was bad.
Yeah.
It's like it opened up Pandora's box without her being ready for it. And it opened it like all the way. And this had been a like satanically tortured lady since childhood. And
It's like you raise her frequency so rapidly. I call it Niagara Falls through a straw. It's like you're pushing so much energy through. And I'm actually on scalar technology right now. After that episode, Tom put me and my family on it. Now, I haven't been feeling much from it, but my family has. My mom's been having some Herxheimer reactions. She's been in the hospital with something with her eye, and all these different things. But my dad, not so much. But my dad and me do a lot of healing and a lot of cleansing,
Yeah,
frequency,
your
all that.
system is so
Yes.
up, right?
Hmm.
But her, see
It's
this
clear.
poor lady.
Hmm. But
Yeah,
I think that's important to understand the energy, the meridians, the chakras, all of that. Because if there's any clogging going on and then you're blasting someone with a super high frequency, they're going to have some sort of a reaction to that. Yeah.
oh, energy. What the stuff we're talking about, folks, is not children's play.
Hmm.
If you ever want to see how dangerous energy is, just pick up the book Kundalini by Gopi Krishna. Gopi Krishna was a young man. He was just doing yoga one morning in India. I think he was about 21 or 18 or something. And all of a sudden, the Kundalini fired all the way up to the top of his head. And apparently it went up the different channelers, whatever the heck it is, it almost killed him. And for the rest of he traveled the length and breadth of India at that time. And until he died, nobody could ever help him.
Oh, I'm glad that you brought that up, because I think a lot of people will want to be, become these master healers in a week. And, it's a matter of really attuning yourself to the frequencies of the divine. And even when you're manifesting, I'm actually working right now with some angelic sigil energy. I'm working with calling in the angelics and Metatron and all of that. And
Wow.
I found myself having to wait for a week or two before I do the next ritual, or whatever they kind of call them. But it's powerful, and it's really powerful to see how it manifests. I always feel the energy, and I'm noticing in my third eye, I'm starting to see the bright lights coming in more. And so, but I could sit there and go through that whole book and do every single 142 of them if I really wanted to. But what's the reality of that? And they say that in the book, don't do any more than two, but I'm sure people get real gung ho and want to jump into that. So be very cautious.
When you want to, if you want to learn anything, folks, like myself or her, you seek out a real master, not some. Most people who call themselves masters are no more a master than I am the tooth fairy.
Mm-hmm.
You have to find a real master, and then you learn, and you don't learn for a weekend, you learn for years, and you study as an apprentice. When I learned about cognitive, I apprenticed for 8 years under a great master doctor. Everything I know, I apprenticed. So what I've done is, folks, I go to great master doctors, great master martial people, not Chuck Norris, and you learn, and there's a transference from a real master. There's a transference of energy, heart, feeling, and then the other thing is, a real healer it needs to have lived a good amount of life so that they have a perspective. They know what it is to suffer, to have a broken heart.
Mm-hmm.
If the person hasn't experienced these things, how are you going to relate to them?
Yeah, how do you
as
empathize?
Yes. And their heart needs to be developed. There's so many things to being a healer. It's not a certificate situation.
There is, and a lot of it is we're doing it on ourselves. I know my healing journey started with me, and I see that with a lot of people I work with. They want to heal themselves, and then they want to go out and heal everybody else, where I'm continually healing me, and I'm sending out a frequency. I'm sending out a signal that when I'm around others, if their tuning fork is in resonance, then they're getting healing based off of what I'm learning within my field, so
that's cool.
Yeah, so it's super cool. It's like, there's times like even right now, you and I are having an energy exchange just through this conversation that we're having. And so that's the neat thing about the quantum unified field, is that there's no limitation to it. It can be, you're in Thailand and I'm here in the Pacific Northwest, and you and I are having an energy exchange transmission, between the two of us. So it's really neat how that works. And so, Dr. G, I want to talk a little bit about some of the cool things that you have on your website. When I was clicking around on your website, I was like, oh, what is this? What is this? Because I'm really into different types of energy. I like the Tesla energy. I work with orgonite, that kind of stuff. But you had a few things on there like the Arc Crystal and the Chi Shield. And so can you talk about what those products are and how they work?
Absolutely. I only endorse a very few things, but the things that I endorse, folks, are fundamentally to really ramp up your energy field and your immune system and your so that you stay healthy. And we nowadays how many, like 100, it's like 97 toxins if you just look in fetal blood.
Wow.
Baby, if you're living in America, So, and then there's the most horrible of all energies, of course, is Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So what I do is I pick a few different things that will give you the edge, eh? So this is the Arc Crystal, and it's housed in a titanium frame, and the crystal itself is grown in Japan, and the inventor represents 30 years of research by Nassim Haramein, and then they were able to make a special machine, and what it does is it calibrates the crystal is cut to the exact geometry of space. Okay, so as like the fundamental geometry of space itself is, I believe, a 64-point tetrahedron. So the crystal is exactly resonant with the fundamental frequency of the universe itself. And then it acts as a transducer. So out of the top at the apex, it's firing a photon jet of enormously high, perfectly calibrated energy. And it does it for life. So every crystal is got a serial number, and it's charged for life, and it'll never leave. It never loses it. At the bottom, which you wear against your chest, is or on a chakra, it fires a big wide jet. Okay, so it's drawing the energies in, and then every part of your body's basically made out of water and oil. What it does is it'll structure and energize every molecule that you're made out of exactly to the equal with the universe. So when she was talking about you were mentioning the Schumann resonance.
Yeah.
What I do in the mornings, I get up at 4 and I communicate with the divine for a few hours every morning. And during that time, I'm bare feet on the ground to ground with Mother Earth. I have the Arc Crystal on. And then so in terms of my bioenergy, and then what I eat and drink and so forth, I charge myself all up. So my biology and my structure is very strongly supported. Okay. Now, the Arc, they have, if you go to the Resonance Academy, the top scientist in charge of Taurus Tech that builds them is Dr. William Brown, another genius. And so far, the research I read up till now, because I know they're doing other kinds of experiments with plants, if you feed the plant water that's charged by an arc, it grows 400 times faster, 400 times,
Wow.
and is healthier. So that's one thing to make your physiology and your biology superior.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I told you Wi-Fi is the ultimate of all energies, that it kills all life.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately now, of course, we can't live without Wi-Fi. Everything in the energetic world operates by frequency, duration, and intensity of a stimulus. Wi-Fi is a 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, ocean of an energy frequency that no living thing can adapt to. Okay. So, so let's say I'm going to heal you, or she's going to heal you, and we do our energy and we can change things. But because Wi-Fi is all the time, it can overtake everything. Now, just 4G alone breaks single and double strand DNA in half, creates 3 different types of dementia. It's absorbed by water and oil. Your brain is made out of water and oil. It wipes out your pituitary gland, which takes out your entire hormonal system. It's 10 miles of bad road. So there's all kinds of little pendants and things for blocking Wi-Fi. Mostly they're garbage. Way too weak, folks. So I saw an experiment by a German biophysicist who tried to disprove this stuff. And this guy was made by this other German scientist. It's a tube with some kind of fluid in it. It's made out of copper, and it's capped in wood, and it's wireless. And it radiates electrons. The electrons glom onto anything that's alive, a plant, an animal, anything. This thing, this one that weighs about as much as a bottle of beer, it radiates a field of 8 feet.
Wow.
And in my pocket, there's a little unit they call the key me, and that radiates 3 feet. I put that in my, it's about the size of a wall, and I put it in my pocket. Okay, so where my wife's house is here, they got 2 Wi-Fi towers just over there, and another Wi-Fi tower on the other side behind here.
Wow.
But even if I go right beside a 5G weaponized tower, the Wi-Fi cannot get through the electrons. And this thing is charged for 4 to 6 years. So on my website, you can order that. And I put this big boy wherever I'm working, so that the computer can't hurt me. And when I walk outdoors, I have the little key me on. So what that means is, see, Wi-Fi.
I'm feeling that energy. My arm hairs are, whoo, I can feel that.
Wi-Fi will not allow you to resolve inflammation. That's why everyone in America, they die of inflammation. Like if they're, let's say they're 50, 60 years old, they fall, they break a bone, and then it kills them. It should never kill anything. The only reason it kills them is they can't, for inflammation to go away, you have to have enough electrons.
Yes.
Wi-Fi wipes that out. See, Mother Earth is always giving us electrons if you know how to ground.
Yep. Or touch a tree.
Everything plant, but we're supposed to have a negative charge, a living thing. So Wi-Fi reverses that. So that's why it's a very wise investment to shield yourself from Wi-Fi. Use your Wi-Fi. There's no way to live without it now, but you really should be protected. So I use the art crystal, that, and then I have the adaptogens to reverse engineer any nanotechnology in your brain or bloodstream so it doesn't kill you. That's called clean slate.
Yes.
That will, all you do is 10 drops under your tongue in the morning, 10 drops under your tongue at night, 1 or 2 bottles, and then you'll be complete. Your blood will be completely clear, and there will be no blood clots or anything like that. And I can disagree.
You know what that reminds me of? So in ancient Egypt, you'll see on a lot of the pharaohs, they're holding 2 rods, and they call them Egyptian healing rods. One is copper and one is zinc. I've actually got a set of them here. I was sitting with them yesterday listening to, actually 852 hertz is what I was listening to yesterday, holding those rods. That copper one goes in your right hand and the zinc goes in your left. My right hand was pulsing so strong. And I've actually, this is wild. So I'll do it on my bed where I can look up at my ceiling and see my light. I have charged myself enough that I can turn my light on to a point where it will flicker. I can get it to flicker just through my heart energy. I will charge myself up with sound frequency, holding those Egyptian healing rods, similar to the chi shield that you have there with the same elements. And I will focus almost like telekinesis, so to speak, and focus my energy to a point where I can get that light to just turn on without turning the switch on. I can get that light bulb to kind of flicker. And so there's something to be said about us charging our energy up and really using the elements. I don't know if you're familiar with ORMUS. I take that a lot, orbitally rearranged monoatomic elements. Jesus talked about this in the Bible. They called it manna. But basically what it is, it's basic minerals. It's basic minerals that many of us are very depleted in. And I'm sure through your technology, you're introducing these things back into the people's bodies, you know, because we're so inundated with heavy metals. Mm-hmm.
Where do you get that?
You can actually, there's a website, there's a guy here in Utah, Blue Emerald Alchemy. That's who I get mine from. Or there's another alchemist in New Jersey. Their website's called I Am Joy, and they use a lot like C60, orbitally arranged monatomic elements. They use frequencies. The guy at Blue Emerald Alchemy, that's the website, blueemeraldalchemy.com. His name is Jason, and he's an alchemist. I mean, he gets downloads from the divine, and he creates these products that very similar. You put them under your tongue. You can actually the I Am Joy comes in like a hemp oil, so you can put that on your body if you want, but it's they infuse frequencies into them. So as you're ingesting these high frequency minerals, you're also receiving the frequencies as well. And so it's just,
you're a pretty cool lady. If you're able to make that light, that's very significant.
It didn't start off that way easily, and it's almost like I've really got to focus. If my mind is elsewhere, it's not going to happen.
Well,
but
yeah.
There's times I can, if I'm really like, I notice when I fast is when I feel like it's like all my energy is in here, and I can really transfer it out. But you know, I call it the Care Bear stare. You know, the Care Bears, when they'd stand there and their energy would shoot out of their chest. That's what I call it when I'm in a space. I'm Care Bear staring, everyone, you know. But I've also started utilizing this to heal the land as well, gathering people who can do this together to get on ley lines and energy vortexes. There's several pyramid sites that I found over here in my area that we're beginning to collect at, and we're going to start we're working on starting a United States group of grid workers is what we call us, but we're going to eventually go big. And I think my whole podcast, I'm setting up these connections.
You should contact Resonance Academy, because the art crystal, and I don't really understand it all. It's aligned with all of the ley lines of all of the pyramids.
I need the art crystal. I gotta get one. Mm-hmm.
And then it's hooked up somehow to the Orion's belt.
Like the pyramids.
Yeah, but I mean the star Orion's belt.
Yeah, the Giza pyramids are in alignment with Orion. Mm-hmm.
So all that stuff, that's all heavy duty stuff from Nassim Haramein, but he's my favorite guy. I consider him one of the most genius. But your work is fascinating, huh?
Well, and I think it all comes together, right? It's just, we're all, you know, I've shared things with you today, you've shared things with me, and now others are going to listen to this and they may have their light bulbs go off too, you know, like, oh, that might have been the missing piece to my puzzle that I needed to make this work. And so a lot of it is, like you said, I do that too. I supercharge myself in the morning. That's something that I do because, you know, we're generators, we're batteries, you know, as humans, you know, we're the tuning fork. And so that's important. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the morning ritual is one of the most important things there is. Mm-hmm. I never miss, never. That's my time to bond too with a great compassionate light.
Absolutely. And so, Dr. G, this has been such a fun episode. I feel like we could go so much longer, but I want you to just kind of share a little bit about some of the services that you provide, and how can people set up a session with you? How can they find the Arc Crystal? You know, where can they go to find all of this awesome stuff we talked about in this show?
Oh, okay. Thank you. So I keep stuff very simple, folks. Go to my website and everything, you'll find everything there. It's depthhealing.org, not .com, .org. And these kind of products, I think that my admin Johnny, he calls it just go to the products, and you'll see there's a few different things there. Like I say, I only will endorse a few different things that I know 100% are really worth the money and the time, and will really help you. Now, to get a hold of me, I do privates. My privates take me 2 hours, and it doesn't matter. I handle like morphic field physics, so I can remove say cognitive dissonance for up to 20,000 people at one time. So any size collective I can handle. I do privates, and then I just schedule myself for you, and I just take care of it, whether it's business, health, broken hearts. If you have a broken heart, I'll remove that for you. I do all kinds of things, and like a life engineer, right? So I've been around a long time, and I help entrepreneurs, big corporate. It doesn't make any difference to me. All you got to do is get a hold of me, and I'll do everything I know to take care of it for you.
That's great. So do they connect with you via Zoom like this, or are you working behind the scenes while you tell them a time, or how does it work?
I give them a time, and then we just coordinate that. Some of them like Zoom, some of them I just talk on WhatsApp. As long as I can talk to them and see them.
Okay.
That's how I entangle, eh?
Okay.
And then
it's like the Bluetooth connection.
Yeah. And recently the Divines really helped my power with being a surrogate. So let's say you had a boyfriend who doesn't believe in anything, but you want him to be helped.
Mm-hmm.
So you would just give me his picture, and I would entangle through you to him.
That's neat.
And I'm getting like 100% 100% connection. So that's very good.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people out there. I have a lot of clients that will say that my loved ones or my family they have cognitive dissonance. They aren't, awakening to things. They're very shut off. And so that's very helpful to know that you could do it as a surrogate. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I in the old days I couldn't work it like that. And then even now I do a lot of work in the California area, demonic forces, or there's some really heavy duty black magic stuff. All that stuff is real.
It is.
So I handle the whole. That's why I call it depth healing. That's why it took me 50 something years of study so that I can understand from so many perspectives. But you really opened my eyes. There's a whole world that that I don't know. And it's
and there's a whole world that that I don't know. So there's obviously a synchronicity why we connected today. And so
yeah, I've enjoyed this tremendously.
Me too. This has been so fun. And I want to thank you so much for coming on the show and for helping heal the planet. I think that's really what many of us are being guided to do. We're working on ourselves first. We're getting to the point of mastery in certain areas. And then now we're beginning what I call, the book of Ra. I've been reading the book of Ra. It talks a lot about learn, teach, and teach, learn. And I feel like that's what we did today. We learned, teached, and we teach, learned with one another. And now this show is going to go out for all of those who are in resonance with it. And they're going to teach, learn, and learn, teach themselves. So I thank you so much for coming on, for all this information that you shared today. I appreciate your energy.
I appreciate your energy too. I think you're quite a lady. I really love what I'm gonna research. I wrote a bunch of things down. I'm gonna look it all up. I am
too. I am too. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. You're so welcome, honey. My pleasure.
You deserve to navigate your life in alignment with health, happiness, and abundance. To learn more about the services that I provide, including Beyond Quantum Healing Hypnosis, EFT Tapping, and the Emotion Code, visit my website at www.theexistentialempath.com.